I think you ought to know. Black Men's Radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's Men's Radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's Radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
And guess what I forgot to do? Plug in my computer. I'll be back in a minute. You can just run the whole show.
Thanks. Oh, there you go. He wasn't actually kidding, to be honest. He's just sort of gone. I can see. You see, I've got a nice little display of in the digital green room. You see, we sort of make a bit of a joke and we say about a digital green room, but the truth is one actually does exist where we have the guests in waiting. Anyway, so the guests also include us as the anchors. I did say anchors, do you mind? As a result of it, what's happened is Russell has actually disappeared out of his thumbnail now. So he's gone. He's gone to find his plug, I assume, to plug in his machine. Straight away, off the mark there, let's say a very good afternoon to Chrissy Richards, who says, hello, mine beef curry and rice for lunch. Well, that's nice, I think. Apart from the fact I can't stand curry and I'm vegetarian, but other than that, sounds absolutely amazing. And it wouldn't be Chrissy Richards if we didn't.
All this year I'm off to sunny Spain. Viva España.
Well, quite. There you go. Well, enjoy your beef curry for lunch, Chrissy Richards. That sounds.
Oh, I'm in the wrong way. Right.
That most certainly sounds like it will be a load of fun.
A load of fun
for the plumbing.
So sorry about that.
Right.
What an idiot! I completely forgot to plug in.
I can't believe you did that, Russell. That's shocking.
I'm an idiot.
Kimmy Lashmar currently in the queue for Le Shuttle, so may get cut off.
Oh, she's in Lidl. Showing off.
Quite.
She's showing
gone
off.
Gone to Little Paris.
Yay!
And then also we've got, or is it Little Venice? You're welcome.
Well, that's
right.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here all week.
Luke Newman, are you still on humanitarian visits?
No, he's back now. He's back.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm back in Blighty after an amazing 8 humanitarian trips. Okay. Oh, eighth humanitarian trip to Kenya. Good work. Blimey. Lots of work done with lots of happy children. Luke, extraordinary. Bravo.
Who's this woman? Linda Dave.
Oh.
No, don't know her.
No.
What is this?
No. Just don't be silly.
I can't be arsed with them anymore. Can't be arsed.
Elizabeth Green. Good morning. Fresh air. Came back. Yellow skies gone.
Yeah.
Well, that's very reassuring. Are you sure it wasn't a nuclear attack or something? What do you mean yellow skies?
Did you follow all that story? Did you follow what's going on?
Oh, no. What? Sorry. Have they got some sort of leak or something over there?
This isn't funny at all. Elizabeth's being absolutely serious. Huge forest fires in Canada. So enormous that they turned New York dark.
Oh, wow. Okay. I beg your pardon. No, I didn't see that.
And because of the air changing in the sun and everything like that, the colors changed. So at some point in New York, it was yellow. I mean, completely yellow. People couldn't see. Some of the New York stage actors had to stop in the middle of their shows because they actually couldn't breathe.
Look at that. I do apologize. I'm just seeing it now. I'm looking at something on NBC. There you go.
Here we go. Paul Claridge. Good afternoon. It's been a tough week for me. It really blooming has. He's been through the ringer and back again, poor sausage. And a couple of close friends. But hey, it's Friday. I know. Can rely on you guys to make me see that things could be worse. Yes, you could be Phil or myself.
Very kind.
You could be C. You could think, well, I could.
That's the most backhanded compliment I've ever heard. I can always rely on you to me.
I'm here. Okay.
Robert Van Buren, that's very reassuring. Thank you.
Yeah,
I do enjoy that. I can always rely on you to make me see that things could be worse.
This shirt's good. This is a good one.
Speak up.
Don't
man up. Oh, I see. Look at that. That's a very appropriate T-shirt.
Well, I try and find the appropriate shirt for the show.
And so do I. Do you like my shirt? It's very appropriate.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's top man. Not you.
It's not that expensive.
So
but anyway,
you've been working since 4 o'clock this morning.
That's correct.
ridiculous. And you're going to be
Well,
working
you
till 4
say
o'clock. You're going to
that,
be working till 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Correct. And then I got the family coming around for Friday night dinner.
Oh, what time? About 7ish would be good.
Yeah. I said about 6:37, something like that.
6. I don't want to be too early, but I don't want to be late. Say.
I know.
what
Well,
would
I
say,
think you should
7:45?
pop over. I mean, you're only around the corner now, so you got no
7:45?
excuse.
Well, at the moment, at the moment I'm around the corner. So 7:45, say ish.
Yeah, ish. That's fine. No
You're all
worries.
invited,
Bring a.
everybody. Everybody's invited. All round to Phil's, 33, the High Street next to the kebab shop.
Yeah.
Now what is?
Oh
going on
no, I
here?
didn't know that. Oh, I did
Okay,
not
yeah,
know that. That's
Gremlin's
horrible. Can we send big love to Anna Webb as she
We
needs
can.
it at
Woof,
the moment?
woof, Anna
R.I.P. R.I.P. Gremlin. Gremlin was her cat. I'm very sorry to hear that. I didn't know that. I'll message her.
Anna Webb's very, very
That's
nice
sad.
woman, and usually appears with Joe Good, and they're all on strike. I don't know if this has not escaped your notice, folks. That BBC London's on strike. Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, you see, this is what we're talking
You
about.
say please come, but at the same time, can you remember who has to do the work here? But
Are you doing the
no,
cooking?
you would be most welcome.
No, it's very sweet of you. I've got washing to do. It's a dark wash today. Russie rocking the Top Men t-shirt. Yay! Thanks, Em. Well, it's been a bit of a week, but anyway, I don't know where you are now. Are you in an off? It looks like a kind of waiting room in a doctor's surgery. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's right. I'm actually on Harley Street at the moment.
Harley Street. No, it looks like you're somewhere in Southwark or something.
No, you caught me out. And I say Harley Street. No, the truth is, I'm actually on the Old Kent Road NHS clinic. Just.
The Old Kent Road is where I usually am. You usually find me on the Old Kent Road.
They're about to investigate a fungal nail. So.
Oh, so for God's sake, that's just disgusting.
It was a big hit for
drama. It's really interesting. Everything that's been going. Oh gosh, here we go. Paul Claridge, communist. I spent an afternoon with the pickets at the BBC in London. Had a very nice chat with Fiona McKinnon.
Yeah. Now I do have to say that you haven't actually quite used her full name there, because of course my lovely friend and colleague Fiona McKinnon, who of course is a BBC travel reporter.
Oh yes, of course she is. That's why I know the name.
You would you don't actually use her full name. Her full name is Fiona McKinnon, BBC Radio London Travel, more news in half an hour. That's her full name.
That is
so when I always made a point of whenever I see her or speak to her to actually use her full name. But anyway.
It's funny. I put up a picture of myself and Sandy Warr and Cara Noble from.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Did you like that picture?
Fantastic. Cara Noble doesn't look any different.
I was asked to take it down on Twitter.
What?
Not by Twitter. Yes, I don't know. Maybe I hope Sandy isn't getting like untoward attention or whatever. So I took it down. For whatever reason, she was happy with it on Facebook, but not on Twitter. So of course I did. If it wasn't someone I've known for so many years, I would have told him to take a hike. But it's a hilarious photo.
I'll let you tell Sandy Warr that. I wouldn't.
What?
Tell Sandy to take a hike. You joking?
Yeah, she's quite scary, actually.
There's no flaming way I would.
She was quite frightening.
I'm just putting this out there. If Sandy says something, it goes. End of.
Yeah, she is quite hardcore. I have known her since the 80s.
Very nice, but hardcore.
She's very nice, and but she's hardcore. You want to mess with her? I cleaned up what I was about to say. Anyway, yeah, it was a picture of me.
Sorry, what the hell was that? I just had an insight of a moose giving birth. What the hell was that?
No, the moose giving birth is. That's a moose giving birth. And
there's no end to your talents, is there?
It's incredible, isn't it?
Literally, I can't even begin to imagine the length of your CV. It must be extraordinary.
That's not a euphemism. No, it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Hey, and we won another award on Women's Radio Station, which I'm very proud for the team there. That's great, which is lovely. François Pascal.
Which is good, actually, because I've never seen a real Blue Peter badge before. Francois Pascal.
Good afternoon. Shut up. Good afternoon, Russ and Phil. Have a great weekend, both if you.
Thank you, Francois. You as well.
You have a...
Oh, here he is.
Here he is,
font,
the boy.
the
Here he
font
is,
of
the boy himself.
psychological knowledge. I can't even say it. That's how excited I am. The font of
Greetings,
psychological knowledge. Dave Sleet. Greetings, one and all. Wishing everyone a great weekend.
Yes, indeed. And to you, David. And
Well, I quite
Leslie
like that.
Ian.
I think that's quite a nice way to end the show, isn't it?
End the show.
So almost do it like Trev McDonald style. Wishing everyone a great weekend.
That's very good. You could have done all that.
I did try. There you go. Oh, and there you go. Oh,
What's this?
And Russ and Phil both had big shout outs from Joe Good and Jill Kenton on Joe's show earlier in the week. Jill called Phil by his old nickname, Phil the Hair.
Yeah, that's
And Joe corrected her and said it's now Phil No Hair. Ouch. And see, I'm not the only person who takes the mic.
I found
That's
some
quite
photos from the early days of men's radio when we were in the studio, and even when we weren't. And there's this child I'm working with called Phil Dave.
Oh, I know.
The photos are great. There's this little boy with massive curly hair, like an eagle.
I did. Do you know what? That was I did have. I sort of went through. Do you ever watch Call the Midwife?
No.
Oh, it's a shame because I sort of
I've seen it.
I went through a sort of phase of turning into Nurse Phyllis.
That means nothing. What's that?
Okay, I think the only thing I can do is probably just show you. So you'll have to bear with me whilst I root around.
Bear with.
It might take a little while, but if I tell you what, talk amongst yourselves because there might be a while. But I'll try and dig that out.
I'm the only person who seemed to find Miranda Hart funny. Everybody else can't bear it. And professional comics fan, when I say,
I like
funny?
her.
No, I thought she was hilarious. I thought that show was really
Miranda
very,
Hart.
very funny. Made me laugh a lot. And then, of course, Gary the chef went on to be Lucifer. Anna Webb, I don't know if she's listening or not, but Anna, your mum says, this is so Radio 4, isn't it? I'm so sorry, Anna, for your loss. Yeah, of course, we hate losing our pets. I now that Eben is 14, I every day I worry. I sometimes stare at her to make sure she's still breathing. I do. I make sure until I see a little chest moving, and then I go, thank goodness for that. You found
I do that in the mirror sometimes as well. I just like to reassure myself
that you're still there and not a figment of your own imagination.
Well, just even the fact that I'm still breathing.
I look in the mirror and go, "Hello, Dad." That's what I do. It's awful. I wake up.
There is nothing. There is literally nothing that says turning into your father more than when you blow your nose and you sound like your father. It's ridiculous. Never anything like it.
That would be tricky as my dad's been dead 23 years. But
no, but I mean, I just suddenly like strike up the brass band. It's ridiculous. Tell me about it anyway.
What have we got here? Viewers, what have we? Oh, you see Graham Pack. I never found
Miranda Hart.
Thank you. If I could speak, it'd be great for this job. I never found Miranda Hart remotely funny. Other people didn't.
What's wrong with people?
No, but it's humor. Look, here's the golden rule about if you find it funny, it's comedy. If you don't find it funny, you don't find it funny. The end. There's no point debating it. There's comedians I can't stand. Other people, they're major stars. I go, I don't get it. Doesn't mean they're not funny. It means I don't find them funny. I think you've got to have that sort of. Now, Leslie Ian Jones, I don't understand this. Twitter versus Facebook. This isn't right. These are not the figures at all, I can assure you. They're not the figures at all. But anyway, there we are. Thanks, Leslie Ian, for that. Why does he use his middle name?
Well,
this will be Beanie.
Isn't it?
This will be Beanie sitting there. Can we dispense with all this malarkey and cut straight to the TV reviews? Well, the TV reviews boy will be coming in from Boston because I recognise him. I recognise his.
Just a cotton picking second, right? I'll have you know that it's very important to ramp up to TV. You don't want to peak too early.
We don't want to peak. We don't want to peak too early. Can we dispense? Yeah, well, we have got TV reviews. A couple of things I'm going to throw in before we get to. I watched last night. I'd never seen it, and thoroughly recommend. Come on, Russell, for Christ's sake! Oh yeah, House of Gucci.
Oh,
loved it. I didn't know. I thought I'd give it a go, and I sat there and I was entranced. Watched it till 1:30 this morning. Then I toddled off to bed. Yeah, House of Gucci. Lady Gaga's a terrific actress. She's fantastic in it. And Adam Driver's like one of my absolute favorite actors. He's so good. extraordinary story, the true story about Gucci. Even if it's nothing to do with fashion, forget fashion. Fashion hardly comes into it. It's a story of revenge and family and huge wealth and how it can go to your head. Really interesting. Excellent. I'm still struggling through Rough Diamonds. Taking a little bit of a break from that. And with the greatest respect to our chum Sen Munro, who was very good in Citadel. He actually won. No sarcasm, I'm being absolutely genuine. I thought he was excellent in it. One of the biggest pieces of poo I have ever seen on television. $350 million of garbage. Absolute garbage. I struggled through it because I kept thinking, it must get better. It got worse. That's Citadel on Amazon. Most expensive thing Amazon's ever done. $350 million and utter garbage. And spent 17 and 6 on the script and found an actress who can't act. God. I'm sure she's a charming woman, but boy, oh boy, she could not act her way out of a paper bag in this show. Because every line is delivered like that. Doesn't matter if she's getting shot, she's in love, she's in bed, she's being punched in the face, or being chased. Every line is delivered like that. I found myself yelling at the screen, for God's sake, put some emotion here. Graham, that is, by even your standards, a terrible joke.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm not even putting it up. It's so bad. What is it? Here we go. Gentlemen, my sincere apologies for my tardiness. I'm on air and trying to watch you and multitask up here in Wolverhampton. She's Fat Scotty. He's actually a very, very interesting guy and sends me extremely interesting messages. I don't know why he calls himself Fat Scotty. It's a bit
I know. Doesn't look anything like a Scotty. Now, look, we've got... You're very welcome. I think the moment of truth has arrived, okay?
What? Okay,
I am now ready to... I've found photos that we were talking about.
Okay, here we go, babies.
The first...
I've got a sneak preview.
Yeah, it is. If I say so myself, it's quite extraordinary.
Good. Here we go, gang.
Yeah.
Stand
so
by.
This was me as it was hair wise when I really let it go a bit curly. There we go. Right.
Jesus.
I mean, that was a proper Jufro. That was a proper Jufro. But I think that I realized I had to do something.
Yeah.
When it dawned on me that I basically looked like Nurse Phyllis Crane out of Call the Midwife. So that's when I realized I needed to get rid of it. So
the best bit was Phil and I, when we had the studio, Phil very sweetly came in on a Saturday and we rearranged the whole studio. It took the entire bloody day. And we did
it very nicely, though, I think, if I say so myself.
Great. We had the toolkit and just the two of us doing that. And he said, don't come near me if you're going to smoke or anything, a cigar. Like, for God's sake, don't come near me with the flame. And I thought, bit odd. Why? Because he had so much hair, not hairspray, lacquer.
Yeah.
Lacquer.
There was a lot of lacquer going on.
So much lacquer, he would have gone up like
I mean, arguably that's what happened. That's the thing. That's actually how it went wrong. Is that I must have just tolerated the hairspray a bit too much, and then suddenly, like Hades.
Is that the missing Wham member? Yep, that was Andrew Wiggly, as my daughter used to call him. And Fat Scotty says, "Oof, that's a hell of a Barnet, Phil." Well, he lives near Barnet, and it really was. But the lacquer was. It wasn't just like. Because I'd watch him do this, and he'd do this incredible do.
I'd have to top it up as well.
And he'd be topping it up, but it would be like... and with those big things you see in ladies' hairdressers. What have we got here? Hey, y'all. I got friends over from the US, so of course we're going to shear. Are we? I don't know whether it's to have lunch in a pub. We're
going to Sheer to have lunch.
With my ex
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz. Yeah. We used to date for a while.
And Jude Law.
And Jude, I quite like that film. Sorry,
Please don't get my mother started. I'm not joking. It's the film she's seen the most number of times. I'm not exaggerating. I do wholeheartedly believe she's seen it at least 50 times. I'm not exaggerating.
Well, that's because I don't know how to break this, but I'm going to do it. That Cameron Diaz is your secret sister.
Well, if that's the case, I might be in a lot of trouble.
She cannot walk past B&K without having to go in. That was what first tipped me off. I was in B&K, saw beef sandwich. I thought, that's Cameron Diaz over there. Suspiciously, and wearing a cravat. She was wearing a cravat.
I know, right?
And
it's amazing.
She looks a bit in a certain light like Phil Dave. I remember this, Paul Claridge, when I was in the studio with you both. Yep, the radio control. No, the bloody clock never worked. Halfway through the broadcast, just as listening to me, the MRS fell off the wall. Probably did.
There were actually a couple of times that actually dropped off. Yeah. Oh, I stand corrected. Sorry, 37 times my mother has
She's
seen
only
Holiday.
seen it. What's a bit rude?
What's rude? Bit rude. Chrissy Richards, bit rude. What is? Only a bit. We have to try harder.
My dad used to douse his locks in dry look men's hair lacquer. Hair so strong he need a crash helmet on his Honda 50.
His mop head protects him from his moped. Both men and women can dress stylishly from Dun & Co. What's Dun & Co?
A friend of mine who's gone on to good things as a director, but I met her when we were doing corporate videos. I wrote the scripts for hundreds of corporate video training programs back in the day. And it was a film for, I think, British Gas or something, when, I hate to say the words, Gary Glitter was a huge star. And the end scene was, remember, he was a huge star. I mean, no one knew what a disgusting piece of garbage he was. And at the end scene was him sitting on the back of a big motorbike going like, something like, remember, kids. I don't know what it was, whatever the payoff line was. Remember, kids, always cross the road carefully. Who knows? Going like that and the motorbike goes off. That's the end shot of the corporate video. So my friend who was directing went over and said, Gary, you're not wearing a crash helmet and this is going out and you're on a public road. Really, you've got to wear a crash helmet for that final shot. And Gary's Glitter's manager came over with the classic line. Listen. Really aggressive, by the way. Listen. Gary is his hair and his hair is Gary. The fact that it was a wig was beside the point. Another true story.
You see, this is what we have to tolerate.
What?
This is the kind of thing one has to tolerate in these
complete garbage.
this industry.
Gary is his hair, and his hair is Gary. Word for word, promise you. God's sake.
Good Lord.
The message above that craft club rude cut. What? Chrissy,
I'm still none the wiser. I'm going to ask.
Chrissy, are you? What are you doing?
You need to drop back with hang on a second. Oh, there. Right, okay. At my craft club yesterday, I was shown a picture used for cards.
Yeah.
It was an elderly lady stood there with shorts on. Yeah. Slogan. Oh, good Lord. Okay. If your shorts look like they are eating your downstairs, they are not for you. That's quite an advertising slogan. I don't understand why it hasn't caught on. Imagine walking into Topshop and seeing that.
God, please don't mention Topshop. We're going to get 50,000 messages now from Elizabeth Green. Don't. You've started her off now. You've triggered her. You've triggered her now. That'll be it for the next 20 minutes. Oh, God. Chrissy Richards. That's hilarious.
I mean, have you gone into M&S or S&M?
Yes, yeah, M&S or S&M. Great line from Jasper Carrot. What was that? Great line from Jasper Carrot, says Paul Claridge. You know you're getting old when you find yourself outside a branch of Dun & Co. thinking, nice cardi. I do this because I'm in Soho several times a week for meetings and stuff. I have to walk past Cordings, which is on Piccadilly, because I cut through Eyre Street on my way through to Brewer Street and then into town. And Cordings, in Fulham and Chelsea, you see people striding along in like a tweed jacket and bright red trousers, and you think you look like an idiot. They sell all this stuff.
Oh,
Very, very expensive.
I think I looked quite smart.
Hey, someone's had her hair done. Someone has had her hair done.
Well,
and
it's
I
not
gotta
me.
tell you, Lloyd Beanie, this is gonna blow your gourds. Very glamorous. Very extra glam. Extra glam. I think
Nicely framed.
I think we should just get her on straight away because, frankly, no, she's not ready. She's not ready. No, she's not ready. She's not ready.
That was you
she's back
told
in the
off.
makeup truck. She's back in the makeup truck. No, bloody Hollywood.
Run off now.
Hollywood.
You scared
She's
her.
gone now. She's gone now, and now she's coming back. God damn.
You don't have to give a running commentary.
I do,
there you go.
because
We've got a thumbs up.
I'm overexcited. Ladies and gentlemen, the Screen Queen herself, live from Boston, Massachusetts, Chantal Rickards.
Hello, good morning. It's very early. My voice is
I was going to say, Chantal, isn't it the middle of the night where you are?
No, it's actually 7:30 in the morning, but
Oh, that's all
God.
right.
I think the smog or the fog or the fires are getting to my throat because I've woken
Yeah,
up
this,
a very foggy throat this morning.
oh, I'm sorry. First of all, in all seriousness, bless you for getting up at such a stupid time and looking, as always, utterly perfect. I got a glimpse of myself before I rearranged my face into some sort of shape, and I thought, oh my God, if anyone ever saw what I really look like. Anyway, there you are. What are we allowed to know what you're doing in Boston, or is that a secret?
No, well, it's not a secret. I've been at a conference all week.
Oh.
Today is the last day, so we finish at 2:00, and then a bit of sort of mopping up this afternoon, possibly a bit of shopping, and then heading to Heathrow overnight.
Oh,
Right.
was that it? Are you back?
I'll be back in the morning. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're getting the red eye. I
The
was
heat and the sunshine at home.
It's
Going
very, very
back
nice
to
today.
Massachusetts.
Hey, now these fires, which boy Dave didn't know anything about, they're really nice.
No, I must be honest. I've seen the images. I just didn't realize what was going on. I wasn't completely up to
This is
date,
the man who
so.
works for the biggest news organization in the world.
I am allowed 2 days off, 2 days off of no news and just chilling. I'm very happy.
Hundreds of screens, literally. I've got a laptop. That's me.
I know. There are fires in Canada. That's all we know. And Canada seems to
Forest fires in Canada, yes.
Lots of forest fires in Canada. And the smoke has actually gone past Boston and seems to be all over New York. And people are having a bit of a hard time in New York.
They are.
The air quality here got a little bit poor last night, but you can't see it in the sky. But I can feel it in my throat this morning. Anyway.
Wow. It was interesting.
You've got to give up
Chantal,
smoking,
on
Chantal.
Broadway, in the middle of a show, one of the major leading Broadway stars, a lady whose name's gone right out of my head because I'm old and stupid, said, I'm so sorry, I've got to stop, ladies and gentlemen. Please excuse me, I can't breathe. And she had to stop the show and get sort of, control her breathing again. She really couldn't breathe. The air quality was shocking. Pictures from Manhattan were dire, absolutely dire.
Amazing.
And I'm wondering, our correspondent in Manhattan, Elizabeth Green, if she saw it out of her window.
I know. Well,
the pictures look awful.
Yes.
What is this, Judy? Oh, was it Julie Comer? No, I don't think it was. It may have been Julie Comer. I'm not sure who it was. I don't know who that is. Anyway.
Unless Julie ended up in a coma.
Blooming close. Have you had time to look at anything? Because don't worry if you haven't. It doesn't. It's fine. We're just thrilled to see you.
No, it's jolly nice to be here. I've had a very good week. We did have half an afternoon off yesterday to go to something I'd never been to before. I just thought I'd throw it in for good measure. And I went to the JFK, John F. Kennedy, library. So every president has a library created for them. Lots of jokes about Donald Trump's having one full of colouring books as and when he gets one. But they also
colouring books, not just any colouring books. They're the greatest colouring books. Yeah.
And of course, everybody
make crayons great again.
Everybody yesterday very energized by the fact that he's been indicted. So
has he?
Oh yes, absolutely. Second time, and not only that, this time it's federal.
Yeah, indeed. It
Well,
could be tricky this time. Anyway, I went to the
no,
JFK
not my Don.
but the Memorial Library doesn't mean a library, by the way, for anybody who's even vaguely interested.
Yes.
Presidential libraries are not libraries. They're
I thought they were literally libraries, you know, like you get in Edgware or Old Kent Road.
Do you need a card to get in?
Yeah.
What is it? You kind of like borrow it, go in there and just borrow a president or something.
You do. And they go, wait a minute, this is the Declaration of Independence. It's 300 years overdue. Here's a fine. That's what they do. It's not a library. What is it?
All the sort of presidential documents, which of course is a big deal because wheeling back to Donald Trump, it's all about presidential documents. And they bring them all together in a beautiful building that is created from scratch. And so that's what the JFK Library is. But they showed in video form all of his best speeches. And I was completely electrified by these.
Really?
They were extraordinary. He was such a good orator. And it was just interesting to watch somebody who was so in command of the room. He was just brilliant in front of the camera. But anyway, there we are. If you're bored, go on YouTube and look at the JFK.
And of course, you realise what a strong Bostonian accent he had.
He
Pat
did.
the car in Harvard. Yeah, the A's are very hard.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, and you've led very neatly into something I was going to discuss with you, because I watched an old film written and directed by Ben Affleck and starring his brother Casey Affleck called Gone, Baby Gone. I think it's on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe on Netflix. I don't know. It's on one of them, one of the two. And tough film. But it's set in Boston.
Yeah.
In the rough part of Boston. And the accents are really, you know, the way they pronounce A's, it's very, very distinct. Very different from like New York or something like that. Very hard.
I think the Boston accent is supposed to be the closest to a British accent, but I don't know. I think it got lost in the Bermuda Triangle on the way.
Yeah, quite snobby there. I spent a little time in Boston, and I wasn't. I found them very snobby. You know, very, very East Coast. Yeah, I did. I found them very, very East Coast.
Okay.
And
we walked through Harvard the other night on the way to dinner, and of course you are surrounded by every brain box on the planet, so it feels sort of intellectually intimidating because everybody's got a PhD in Boston. But it is a beautiful city. I mean, to visit as a tourist, it's
kind of like a slightly bigger Hampstead. I'm not joking. I really thought it was like a slightly bigger Hampstead. I expected to see Lloyd Beanie wandering around staring at cake shops, but I didn't.
No, I think it's tremendous, and you can come in via the airport and then get a water taxi straight across the bay.
Hang on, whoa! You get a water taxi?
Yeah.
Wowza!
Straight into town.
Just remember to bring a towel with that. So
obviously, yeah, I would do that. Yeah. A water taxi.
Yeah.
And you say, could you take me to Bermondsey? And they go, I'm not going south of the river, mate. Not this time of night.
I have to tell you, I sort of stumbled across on Amazon Prime the other day a film that I'd never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And I must admit, I didn't know completely what it was about. Even the synopsis didn't really sort of tell me the direction of travel too much, but I still watched it and I was absolutely gripped by it. And I quite like those accidental discoveries. It's called Song for a Raggy Boy. I don't know if you've heard this film. It's actually from, I think it was 2004 is when it was from.
Yeah.
And the actual story is it's set in a Catholic orphanage in Ireland in the 1930s, I think it is. Actually, it's definitely the 1930s because at one point in the film they reference Chamberlain declaring that Germany's
peace in our time.
Yeah, so I know it was in the 30s, but anyway, what happened is that the actual film was set in this Catholic orphanage, and it's about the discipline that the Catholic priests who ran it used to inflict on the boys at the orphanage. And what happened is that there was a teacher that they took on, and this teacher sort of becomes the superhero of the film in so much as that he obviously witnesses some awful disciplinary actions. I'm not being funny. They are not backwards in being graphic about how strict this discipline was. And as a result of it, he sort of comes in, he's kind of like their savior. And to the point, look, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say after a really torrid time, good does triumph over evil. But it was fascinating to see because part of you just thinks, good grief, did that actually happen?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's based on a true story.
Horrible.
Actual characters in the film are absolutely true. So as I say, it's called Song for a Raggy Boy is the name of the film, and it's on Amazon Prime. I really recommend it. If you've got to have a strong stomach, but I recommend it.
Well, I might download it for the flight home.
Oh, don't do that. You want to open the door at 35,000 feet. God's sake, don't do that. I did that once when I was flying over to see you, actually. I think when you were my landlady at the time, to Los Angeles, and they did was it The Shape of Water or The Something of Water that won all the Oscars?
Yeah, The Shape of Water, yeah.
Trash. And if I could have walked out, had I not been at 36,000 feet, I would have walked out.
I must admit, I never got The Shape of Water. I really didn't understand it.
A load of tosh, really was pretentious tosh. Graham Pack, when my daughter was at Cambridge, they had an exchange system with students from MIT, which is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is also in Boston, and they are on a different planet to the Harvard lot. Yeah, I mean, MIT, you're a mighty brain box and going to lead the world in tech. Absolutely so.
Incredible.
Absolutely so. Two great documentaries.
I decided it wasn't good enough for me when I applied.
What, to MIT? Mission intolerable in your case. If you like comedy, but like sort of like the history of comedy, magnificent 3-hour documentary in 2 parts on George Carlin. A hard watch.
Yeah.
But if you like George Carlin, he's one of my comedy gods. A fascinating thing to watch the arc from him being squeaky clean, big family type, with Dean Martin and everybody, and then going into the George Carlin that we know and love.
Laurie.
I think we talked about it a few months ago.
And then, yes, I only saw it. I only saw it the 2 parts not that long ago. And then I watched the Bill Hicks. I don't know if you like Bill Hicks. He's certainly not to everybody's taste. Again, a long documentary, a couple of hours that I watched on Bill Hicks. You really have to like the subject to sit through it. Otherwise, you'll be bored stupid. You won't find it interesting. But if you like Bill Hicks, it's for you.
Well, the first program I was going to talk about is sort of equally attractive or not, depending on whether you like the character. And actually, it's a new 3-part documentary called Arnold. And other than Arnold Palmer, there is no Arnold on the planet other than Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
It's very good. It came out this week on Netflix. I've watched the first 2 episodes, so it's very much a biography. Well, it's an autobiography because he's in it.
He's this newfound obsession with Arnold Schwarzenegger we seem to have in this country now. Because it was that, and then last week as well, there was something you were talking about. He's renewing his catchphrase or something like that.
Fubar. We were talking about last week.
Fubar is an acquired taste, and he's sort of trash television. But this is a proper, sort of authored documentary. He is a little bit bonkers, which I hadn't quite realised, and I rather like. He shares his house in Idaho, I think, with a miniature horse and a donkey, who he feeds from the kitchen table.
Who hasn't?
Surprising. I just sort of didn't quite imagine the Arnold Schwarzenegger that we knew from the movies. And he's sort of delightfully dotty. But he grew up in a pretty ghastly household. His father obviously had PTSD, came back from the war. He had been...
which side was he on, Chantal?
Well, we don't think he was on.
Oh.
Was he? Yeah, moving on.
But he was violent towards his kids. So, I mean, thinking about mental health, and obviously we talk about mental health on the station.
Yeah.
Arnold had a pretty crappy background, and it's sort of interesting that his whole idea was about power and strength and wanting to be strong, and somehow you feel as though that was a reaction against the awfulness of the beatings that he got as a kid. Anyway,
crappy background would be from having ponies in your kitchen. That would do the trick.
But it really is rather good, I mean, Sly Stallone's in it. He's got loads of people talking about it because clearly he's asked all his mates to talk about the old days. Jim Cameron talking about Terminator. It's really interesting. If you're
Speaking of Sylvester Stallone, right? I had no idea. He is steeped in tattoos. Have you seen this?
Is he?
Seriously,
No
I don't know whether or not, I'm sure it wasn't makeup for his for a film, but I'm perfectly sure Sylvester Stallone, because I remember being so shocked by it. But Sylvester Stallone, I'm just going to do a quick search just to make 100% sure I haven't done a
Well,
total fool of myself. But
certainly in episode 1, where his shirt is off for most of episode 1, he is not tattooed. Definitely.
No. I'm not
Let's
convinced
see.
he is.
I mean, maybe he is now.
oh, he
But he's-
no, he properly is. I knew it. I wasn't imagining it. Right, do a search. I'm not joking. As and when you get the chance, Sylvester Stallone tattoos. Not joking. He's a walking coloring book.
Wowza.
Really?
Seriously, absolutely
Yeah,
not
no.
kidding. Do a Google search for it. I promise you.
Anywho,
it's
getting back to
Unbelievable.
Arnie.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I
Getting
digress.
back to
I was just
Arnie.
shocked. That's all.
Getting back to Arnie, he said,
Yes.
does it tell us anything we don't know, apart from he feeds small animals from the kitchen,
Well,
table?
It
Down,
tells you
Shep. Down.
ambition. He was a man with a plan, and he
Totally.
went for it, which I thought was fascinating. Because mostly, I think in Hollywood, people make things up as they go along, but
Just
he
a bit.
absolutely knew what he wanted to do in every part of his career, and was incredibly successful. You know, a successful politician, successful actor, and successful bodybuilder. I mean, extraordinary career, and he's not stupid. You know, clearly he's
No.
intellectually in the space. He's a clever man. I found it fascinating, and he's not one of my sort of, you know, Hollywood icons, but I thought it was a really interesting documentary. It's on Netflix.
Absolutely. I love him because you know you're going to get a good flick. You know you're going to get a good flick if Arnie's in it. I love
Yeah.
his films. I've loved them since the 80s.
You say that. Did you ever watch Jingle All the Way?
No, because I have a vague scattering of life left.
So please
No,
don't tell me you're always
No,
going to
all
get a good
okay,
flick,
that was
because
a
I
piece of
promise
poo.
you, you're
That
not
was a
always
piece
going to
of
get
poo,
one.
But the rest of I wasn't crazy about Kindergarten Cop. Well, no, it was all right.
Oh,
Anyway, but anyway,
fine.
there is a fabulous
Twins
Twins was great.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun.
I met
wasn't
the
wasn't my
guys.
cup of tea.
I met the guy. Oh, all right, never mind. That's one
Come
day,
on,
when
you're
we've
going
got
about to
time- when
relay
we've
an
got-
anecdote there. You
when
met
we've
the
got-
guys.
who wrote that, and I met them at a do, and we were just chatting, and they told me face to face how they pitched it. It was hilarious.
Oh, really?
Did you not know? Oh, this is true. I
No.
was. I'll tell you where it was. Do you remember the Miller's Antique Guides? You'd remember that, Chantal. Do you
do.
remember the Miller? And Martin Miller and his wife, for reasons that I have no idea, the late Martin Miller invited me to a party in their home, which was the most extraordinary place I've ever seen in London, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Kensington.
And yeah, it was just like it doesn't matter. I've never seen it. It was jaw-dropping. I don't know how they did it. And I'm chatting to these two guys, and they're the guys who wrote Twins. And I said, oh, that was great. They said, well, you've got to understand, they're just two blokes, right? And they went over to Hollywood, literally with scripts in Tesco's plastic bags.
No.
This, swear to God, because you think it's all very sophisticated. So they've got scripts, and they go in and they get a meeting with like the head of the studio. Somehow they bluff their way into this, and they've got not a clue. And the main idea is not going down well. And the guy goes, "Got anything else? Got anything else?" And they look at each other and completely off the hoof. They go, yes, it's a film about twins. And the guy goes, yeah, and one twin's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the other twin is Danny DeVito. Hold it. Chuck, get in here. Vera, get in here. Susan, get in here. Okay, what else you got? Well,
Wow.
they've been separated. It's absolute. This is just word for word what they told me. They said,
Sorry.
okay. They said, okay. I want you to come back in half an hour, and I want you to tell us more. So the two guys.
Now, you see, I'd watch a film about that, not the Twins film itself. I'd want to watch a film about how Twins was commissioned.
These two blokes are then walking around the car park. This would be like me and Phil, right? Walking around the car park in the studios going, oh, Christ, we've got half an hour. We haven't got a clue. So they just made up a load of garbage.
That's
They
brilliant.
sold it. They also wrote, which they eventually took their names off, Stop or My Mum Will Shoot, which was then given to
Estelle
Stallone.
Getty.
Estelle Getty and Sylvester Stallone. And they'd done it one way. And the time the studio had butchered it into the mess that Stop or My Mum Will Shoot, because it was not very funny. It wasn't really a good action. It was they kind of walked away. They got paid and everything like that. I don't know what they're doing now. But that's the true story of how Twins came to pass. It's just hilarious.
That's fantastic.
They were so low key.
But you know, I always appreciate that level of gumption, really, because there was one time, I saw this from Paul Claridge. Johnny Depp is 60 today.
Yeah.
Wow, he's looking good for 60.
Well, quite. See, I was going to say, I always admire that level of backbone and tenacity, because there's a TV station that's yours truly does occasionally do stuff all called I-24, which is over in Israel. And the way that it came about was that, and I don't know if I think I've told you this before, Russ, but anyway, but the way it came about is that I was on holiday in Israel for a change. So this was last year. And afterwards, I thought, I'll just pop into the studios because I know they're here. And I'll just say, well, I'll introduce myself, say, oh, look, I work in TV in the UK and I should work with you sometimes. Anyway, went up to the receptionist. Now, I have to tell you, the receptionist, the first language wasn't, as you'd expect, first language wasn't English. However, I said that I'm from the UK and I would very much like to speak to one of the editors here just to see if there's something I can do. Eventually, he understood what I was trying to get at, showed me to the waiting room. And about half an hour later, one of the editors came out and took me into the meeting room. And I said, thank you so much for seeing me. I really appreciate this. No, it's no problem at all. So what part of the Ukraine are you from? I just said
Watford in the war zone.
I think there's been a bit of a breakdown in communication here. But anyway, so... But yes, needless to say, I do actually do stuff with that channel, so it did work.
Yeah, they're very nice. They're extremely nice. And Phil was very kind and introduced me when Phil was too busy to do stuff.
That's just true. I couldn't be bothered.
He just throws it off. He throws it. I get the crumbs from the Phil Dave table, and they're extremely nice there. Here's a little snippet for you, Shanters. A lot of people, as you know, the great Jeff Beck passed away very sadly. My favorite guitarist of all time, and people said, "Oh, why is Johnny Depp, just dragging along?" That they didn't realize that he and Jeff Beck were huge friends.
Yep, they were.
During the shenanigans with Amber Lights, it's Larry Viner joke, Amber Lights. Johnny just wanted to get the hell out of it, and he said to Jeff, "I don't suppose you could put me up." And he went, "Well, look, there's a little summer house." He lived there for 2 years in his garden. No one knows.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Johnny Depp. And so Palomine.
Down in Kent, wasn't it?
Yeah. So apparently Jeff Beck was delightful. I met him once, but I didn't know him. I just met him and said, "Hello, Mr. Beck. How nice to meet you," at a very small birthday party. And anyway, so people were invited down to birthday, and they went down to Jeff Beck's birthday. And my pal Leo's looking at me. It's like Johnny Depp. What's Johnny Depp doing in the lounge? Wandering around with twiglets. It was Johnny Depp. He'd been there and apparently he was lovely. Yeah. So there you go.
I can verify that story because a friend of mine was the costumier for Pirates, and she went down to do the fitting for him at Beck's house in Kent or East Sussex.
Yes.
So, Anyway, an amazing house, and that's exactly what she said.
Nothing more than Jeff Beck deserved for giving the world so much wonderful, wonderful music.
Yeah,
it's nice to know that people are nice, because you see it in the media and you don't know. We're not going to refer to what.
No, I think we've moved on.
I think we've kind of rinsed it, but
it's kind of.
Well, all right. But my thing is, and you know this much better than I, Chantal, some of the people that are always deemed and drawn by the media as being absolutely horrible, then you meet them and they're just completely charming and lovely, and the other people are your family favorites, your national treasure, and you meet them, they are monsters. Monsters. As you have no names, but you'd sometimes, even I, as cynical and old and beaten up as I am, you tell me stories sometimes when we're just having half a
I tell you who
I was and I go.
I'll tell you who I was most surprised to meet, who was very nice. And Russ, I know you met her at the same time. Katie Hopkins. Yeah. Absolutely gobsmacked. Absolutely.
How nice she was.
Seriously, so nice, and then she goes on air, and then bang,
Yeah, not
the
my
pantomime starts, and you just think, oh, for goodness sake,
when
can't
you-
you just be more like you are off air?
It was a real thing. It was a big mistake because I took a vote amongst our production team at the time, and they didn't want to go ahead with it. I should have gone ahead with it, but they said, "Oh, we won't do it." I should have said, "So well, cheerio. There's about another million people who can replace you. You know, would love the job." And Phil's absolutely right. When we met her and she came in, I thought, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready." Couldn't have been just normal, just lovely, just a normal, charming, nice person.
Yeah.
And as Phil says, the we switched on, we started rolling, boom.
wow.
Couldn't use it.
Bit of a crazy.
It was going well until it all didn't go well, and then okay.
Okay. Well, talking of crazy people, from one crazy person to another, I've managed to find there are so many documentaries about mad crazy people in America. So the latest mad crazy documentary series is called Shiny Happy People, which is a great title, catchy title, but it's about a family that actually a lot of people in the UK won't know. They are called the
I thought you were going to say it's about REM.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a family called the Duggars, and they were a reality show family, reality TV family. And the show was called 19 Kids and Counting.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's such an appropriate word for what I'm about to tell you. The fact that they had 19 children probably tells you about their...
Couldn't they have bought a television?
Yeah, well, I guess it was on the TLC channel from 2007 to 2000.
No, I think Russell means that they clearly didn't have a TV.
Buy a newspaper, do a crossword for God's sake. Give it a rest for a night.
Haven't you heard of Sudoku?
Well, they were one of these fundamentalist Baptist families.
It's one down.
Yeah, where
18 to go.
Enough already.
Right, they're fundamental Baptists with 19 kids. Holy
I know I'm always
moly.
banging on about Christo-fascism and the rise of the Christian right. And actually, this is a rather tawdry story about this ghastly family, but it leads you into something much darker about how religion has been politicized in America. It is completely fascinating. Anyway, this bonkers family called the Duggars are weird and strange, but I mean, absolutely
No kidding.
Television, compulsive television, and you can see why the show ran for 8 years. None of the children, even once they reached adulthood, were paid. The father took all the money. The eldest son, this is where the story starts, the eldest son sadly was behaving inappropriately with some of his sisters.
Oh, nice.
Of whom he had many. But that's really the story. That leads you into this whole story about something called the IBLP, which is the Institute for Basic Life, which is another religion that I had never heard of. He got some sort of charismatic leader who has since been disgraced, called Bill Gothard. The story is really dark, really, it's just nasty stuff. But I sort of feel as though we need to know about these people so we can stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, it'd be good.
What they're trying to do to, basic human life is just wrong in so many ways. But it's a very good documentary. It's called Shiny Happy People. It's on Amazon, and it's been out for about a week. And it's right up there in the Amazon ratings immediately. So you can see that people are very interested in this stuff. And I'm glad that somebody is shining a light on it.
And where is it? Sorry, where's it available?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
Yeah.
It's a shocking thing, isn't it? That religion, which at its heart should be a good thing. I mean, we could talk about that for the next 5 years. I'm not religious, but it should be a good thing. It should be a force for good. And the fact that it has been in America, thank God it hasn't been here. Just hasn't been. It wouldn't fly. It wouldn't fly here.
No.
But in America, it's such a big thing. They mum, God, and apple pie. And it in certain areas, it's what swings the vote. It's really very scary. But it's enshrined in the American DNA. It's easy for us as Europeans to look at it and mock, but it's who they are. So it's not.
It's the same way that they've got something in the Constitution about wearing vests.
Oh, what? Wearing vests.
Chantal gets it.
No.
No.
Talk about a joke worth explaining. But
Go
anyway,
on, please. Go on, because everybody's now going,
they've got the right to bear arms.
oh, for God's sake.
Well, that's
Crying
where
out loud.
the story, Phil, that is where the story goes. But I mean,
Oh, gracious! Of course it does.
well, they're all homeschooled, all of these people, which I find quite worrying. And they're against formal education. So the minute you know that, you just think, okay, these are the Fruit Loops. And then, of course, it goes off into a militia, an arming for the next.
Oh, God.
It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. It's not just a story about this rather bizarre family with 19 kids in that you wouldn't want to know for anything. But it gets darker and darker and darker, but it's really worth watching.
Well, it's on the watch list. I've added it. Do you think the parents remember all their birthdays?
No.
Well, it was funny that when one of the sisters was trying to name all her siblings, she got them wrong and in the wrong order. It was,
Oh my
and I thought that says a lot.
It's scary stuff. And the more stupid they are, the more guns they have.
Yeah,
There
completely.
kind of seems to be an inverse proportion. But if I lived in Texas, I'd have a gun. I'd just say it. I would.
Don't live in Texas.
Well, my son's living there and he's loving it. I got to be honest with you, he's loving it. So,
Has he bought a gun, Russ?
no, he won't.
Okay.
No.
Good.
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay. Well, I'm pleased.
No, but he's loving it out there. Although I did make a complete fool of myself, and you will get this. He said, "Hey, Dad," because I see more of him now than when he lived 20 minutes up the road. But again, inverse proportion. Hey, Dad, I went to the Alamo. I said, "Oh, that is so good. This is absolutely true." I said, "I'm so proud of you, boy, because you're getting into the culture and learning the people." He said, "Dad, no, Alamo is the local cinema." Felt such an idiot. He subsequently has been to the Alamo, which he said was very weird. He said, you drive down a main street and suddenly there's the Alamo. I said, what, in the middle of the street? He went, yeah.
Do you know, speaking of guns, there is a great line. Did you ever watch, I think this is actually available on Amazon Prime at the moment as well. Have you ever seen The Thin Blue Line with Rowan Atkinson?
Yeah, sure.
Comedy, right, okay.
Yeah.
So there is a brilliant episode. And amongst that episode, you've got if you don't know the story of The Thin Blue Line, it's set in a police station. Rowan Atkinson's the chief inspector, and then you've got the Chief Inspector Derek Grimm, played by, don't tell me, David Haig, is it?
David, it's David Haig, Haid.
Yeah,
one of my favorite
David Haig. Okay, so the two of them are sort of in charge of the station. You've got Rowan Atkinson is super sensible, really level-headed, clear-thinking, straight down the line police officer. You've got David Haig's character, who is, you just have to question how the flipping hell he got into that position in the first place.
And then PC Goody.
Yeah, goody. But anyway, I mean, all those two characters to one side, it's brilliant, very, very funny. But David Haig's character, the form of Inspector Grimm, goes to Inspector Fowler, which is Rowan Atkinson's character, and says that he said that how is it possible that you've not issued any firearms licenses in the last however many years?
Yeah.
He said, what are you doing to process these? And he said, well, I always ask the first question is, does that person want to own a gun? And so, of course, Inspector Grimm says, well, obviously, yes. And he says, well, then clearly that person is not in the right state of mind to own a gun. It's just a brilliant line.
That's
written by, it's very gentle comedy, and it's written by Ben Elton, which is a surprise because it's gentle and charming.
Ben Elton, yep.
Yeah, very charming sort of night. I mean, it's the sort of thing Terry Scott could have been, and put it that way. Could have been June Whitfield and Terry Scott. Wouldn't have been a problem at all. Could have had Hattie Jakes in it. Really lovely.
Okay.
Shanters, have a wonderful time. Enjoy your shopping. Bless you.
And safe
so much
travels
for joining
back.
us.
Thank
And
you.
that's the most important. Safe flight back. And
Good
have
seeing
a
you.
wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Bless you. Bless you. Bye-bye. Isn't she fantastic?
Nah, she's all right.
It's 7:30 in the morning. She's just extraordinary. She looks like she just stepped out of a beauty salons. Fabulous. You allowed to say that these? Well, I've said it. There we are.
Well, you've said it. I mean, who knows what's impertinence
I
and what's
don't
not.
know. I don't know. Have a wonderful weekend. Phil, Dave, as ever, bless you for
Yes.
joining us.
It's a great
Appreciate
pleasure,
it.
Russell Kane, and have yourself a good weekend. And
Okay,
you're
well,
back on Monday at midday.
I'll be back at Monday midday, and then Wednesday, and then Phil will be back next Friday. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weather. Bye, gang.